Beatrice sat on the couch with her phone in hand. It was 2 in the morning, but she knew Mark wouldn't be coming home. She had seen it in his eyes when he left the house, with that coldness that had become so familiar. She had tried calling him, but he didn't answer. She tried again and again. On the 10th attempt, the phone rang freely before cutting off abruptly. She had blocked her. A lump formed in her throat. She couldn't breathe. She knew she shouldn't cry, that she should be strong, but she couldn't help it. Mark was everything she had. The next morning, he came back as if nothing had happened. The scent of woman's perfume was still on his collar. "Mark, where have you been?" she asked, her voice breaking. He sighed, tossing his keys onto the entryway table. "Are you still asking these questions? You're suffocating, Beatrice, always clinging to me like a leech." "But I just wanted to know." Mark turned to her, his expression full of contempt. "You just wanted to know? Do you know what I want? I just want some peace. You don't get it, do you? You're obsessed." Beatrice lowered her gaze, biting her lip. She didn't want to make him angry. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He scoffed, shaking his head. "Let me sleep." Over the years, Mark had shattered every piece of her self-esteem. He had made her feel useless, paranoid, and dependent. And instead of leaving, she had clung to him desperately. There had been betrayals, lies, slammed doors, nights spent crying on the bathroom floor. And yet, every time, all it took was a tired smile or a fleeting touch from him for Beatrice to forget everything. But one day, everything changed. "I want a divorce," said Mark, sitting on the couch with a bored expression. Beatrice felt her world collapse. "What?" "I found her, Beatrice, the right woman. Not like you. You were just an habit." Her legs gave out. "Please, you can't do this to me. I'm already doing it." Beatrice fell to her knees in front of him. She took his hands, kissing his fingers as if he were a god. "Tell me what I need to do. I'll change, I promise. Just don't leave me." He pulled his hands away with a look of disgust. "You're pathetic." Those words cut through her like a knife. After he left, the house became a prison. Beatrice stopped eating, stopped showering, stopped getting out of bed. She spent her days staring at the ceiling, hoping the pain would consume her. Then came the dizziness, the tremors. Her body rebelled against the absence of food, but the pain was stronger than the hunger. One evening, she lost consciousness. When she woke up, she was in the hospital. A nurse was speaking softly to a doctor. "She's unresponsive. We need to transfer her to a psychiatric clinic." The first thing she noticed in the clinic was the control. No nails files, no tweezers, no objects that could be turned into weapons against herself. The second thing she noticed was Elisa. She was a psychologist, a little older than her, with calm eyes and hands always ready to offer comfort. "How do you feel today, Beatrice?" Beatrice ignored her. There was nothing to say. But Elisa didn't give up. Every day she spoke to her, even when she remained silent. "Do you want to tell me about Mark?" she asked one day. The name hurt. He was everything to me. "And you, Beatrice? Were you something to yourself?" The question hit her. She didn't know. Days passed. Elisa taught her to recognize her destructive thought patterns. Beatrice began to understand that Mark didn't define her worth, but the pain was still there. "I still love him," she admitted one day. Elisa nodded. Love doesn't disappear overnight, but you can choose whether to let it destroy you or not. Beatrice shook her head. "I can't do it." "Then keep trying." One afternoon, as they walked through the clinic's garden, Beatrice asked, "Why do you do this job?" Elisa lowered her gaze. "Because once I lost someone I loved more than myself." Beatrice looked at her, confused. "My son, Caesar." She was 6 years old. Cancer took him away. Beatrice felt a chill run down her spine. In his last moments, he asked me to promise him something. Elisa turned to her. He said, "Mom, promise me you'll fill your life only with beautiful things." Beatrice's heart edged. "At first I didn't want to. I just wanted to die with him. But then I realized that pain can't be the only thing that defines us." Beatrice looked down. "What if I can't find anything beautiful?" Elisa took her hand. "Start by looking for it." When Beatrice left the clinic, the world seemed too big. She rebuilt her routine, started yoga, met friends who didn't make her feel worthless. One day, a friend asked, "Have you ever thought about specializing in emotional dependence?" "Maybe," she admitted. "I think you'd be perfect." And for the first time, someone believed in her. Day after, at a cafe, she heard a familiar voice. "Beatrice." She turned and saw him, Mark. He no longer had the power to make her tremble. "How are you?" he asked. She smiled, happy. And it was true. She paid for her coffee. "I have to go," she said. And she walked away, never looking back. That night, she stood under the stars, breathing in the cool air, and for the first time in years, she felt free. And free she finally began to truly live.